up, it's showtime. Showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. Oh, they don't know. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. I'm wearing Cuban.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Matt. Welcome back to another episode of 3 and Out Sports Podcast. Now, today is Monday, and what I think I'm going to start doing on Mondays here is going to do my sports weekend review. Now, I just want to go over some of the major storylines that happened in the sports world over the weekend. Also, what I want to do on this episode is review my picks for my Football Friday podcast, let you know how I did. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. And I mean, what a weekend of sports we just had, and there's many storylines that come out from it. Now, what I want to start off with, which I think is some major news in college football, where 4 top 10 teams lost, 7 of the top 25 teams lost. There's 3 or 4 other top 25 teams that narrowly escaped with the victory. Now, this all started on Friday the 13th. Yes, Friday the 13th, with Clemson losing to Syracuse. Syracuse just wanted it more, plain and simple. I know Clemson had some problems with the injuries with their quarterback, but even before that, the Clemson offense, defense, special teams, everything, nothing clicked with them. And I really think that Dabo Swinney looks at this as a wake-up call, but Clemson, there's no way you should lose to Syracuse. I know Carrier Dome Friday night's a weird atmosphere, but there's no excuses for Clemson defending national champions. The way they've looked all year to come out and lay an egg like that, it wasn't a good look for them. And also, Washington State just getting absolutely and utterly manhandled by Cal. Now, it was a very eerie feeling out there with all the wildfires happening. It didn't take on like a traditional college atmosphere. Saw a lot of people in the stands wearing gas masks, and we're really praying for that area. You know, there's what they're going through right now. Strictly here talking about the sports end of it. It just didn't seem like Washington State was wanting to be there. Cal just came out and they punched them in the mouth, and they kept going with a 37-3 victory. Now, on Saturday, Auburn lost to LSU, which was one of the weirder outcomes that I saw coming. I knew LSU was going to keep it close. I mean, I didn't really think that LSU was going to get blown out. Now, I know they lost to Troy at home. It doesn't happen. I think that's a blip on the radar. They took a team too lightly, and Troy really wanted it, and they came out and they took that game. I think that LSU got embarrassed, and they've been playing really hard since that point in time. Auburn went up 20-0 in this game, and LSU just kept chipping, and Ogeron played. I mean, had some great play calls, and it was just it had this weird feeling to it that LSU, even when they were down 20-0, you just were sitting there going like, you don't know that they were ever going to lose. And I don't know if anyone else got that, but that's how I felt watching that. And then also later that evening, Washington lost at Arizona State, which was a very ugly game. Washington couldn't get anything going. Arizona State played in a magnificent defensive game against the playmakers that Washington State has. Chris Peterson, it didn't look like he had any answers for what Arizona State was throwing at him. But also in that weekend, you had WVU beating Texas Tech. You had Memphis beating Navy and Boise State beating San Diego State. There's your 7 upsets right there. Now, Memphis technically wasn't an upset. They were favored in that game, but you know, Navy was a top 25 team, so you got to give props to Memphis for taking care of business there. Now, there was also some close calls too, where Michigan and Indiana came down to overtime, and Indiana really kept that game close and had a chance to beat Michigan there. Michigan State, Minnesota. Minnesota just never went away. Michigan State couldn't pull away, and it was a close win for Michigan State there. And then also Miami with the 1-point win over Georgia Tech. Although I think Georgia Tech is a very, very good team. They're 1 point away from being, or now 2 points away from being undefeated. So the college football weekend was very weird. A lot of close games, top 25 teams falling. Just an overall wacky football weekend. And now moving on to some major storylines in the NFL this weekend. I think there are 2 major ones that you're going to hear a lot about. Obviously, the first one, you can't go on without mentioning it. Aaron Rodgers breaking his right collarbone and his throwing shoulder there. Going to be out likely for the entire season. Just a terrible loss for sports fans. Also joining just the likes of an all-injured team with Odell Beckham and Julian Edelman and J.J. Watt. Just not what you want to see if you're a fan of the NFL. The long-term ramifications for the Packers are They're going to have Brent Hundley in. Now, will they go out and try to sign a Tony Romo? I don't think they will. But are they going to go out and try to trade for a veteran? Eli Manning's name's getting thrown around. I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to ride out with Brent Hundley, who did not look lost in the offense. I think getting thrusted in there when you haven't played and you're not expecting to play, he didn't fully get engaged in the game. I think you give him a week's worth of reps in practice, he'll do okay. Now, do I think Green Bay's a playoff team? They could be. They're 4-2 right now. If they can win 5 games down the stretch with Brent Hundley, they have a great receiving core. They have a decent running back. Their defense is playing well. I think there's still an outside chance that they can make the playoffs, but that's about it. They are not a team that's going to threaten for the Super Bowl unless Aaron Rodgers miraculously heals and he comes back. This team is looking at just a playoff as their goal right now. And then also the big thing that happened in the NFL, that the no-catch fumble, Austin Seferian-Jenkins play in the Jets New England game. Selfishly, I liked it because I thought maybe that New England was going to cover and help me out for my NFL picks, which I didn't do too well in this weekend, but we'll get to that here in the next segment. For me, I don't understand this rule. Now, Jenkins caught the ball, ran about 6 yards, dove in for a touchdown. The ball, it moved around a little bit, but he never fully lost control of it. They said the ball got fumbled out of the end zone, but he handed the ball to the referee. Then the officiating rule said that the ball touched the pylon, which then makes it a dead ball. It fumbled out of bounds without control, and it becomes a touchback. For me, you have to look at things. And when you look at that live and you look at it on the replay, it looks like a touchdown. Now, I understand some other plays with the catch rule where the ball is not fully contained all the way through. I get those. But there's no way that you can tell me right there that Jenkins didn't catch the ball, establish possession, went towards the end zone, dove, came up with the ball didn't move or fumble out of the end zone. It didn't look like a fumble or anything like that. So if you're looking at it, I really will calm down with all these little reviews. Jenkins caught it, scored a touchdown in my opinion. All right, and then other than both playoff series in the Major League Baseball being 2-0 in favor of Houston and the Dodgers, one of the other big things, and I think that got pushed away a little bit because of all the NFL news that came out and all the controversy and the Aaron Rodgers news, is that the Cleveland Cavaliers on Tuesday night, when they host the Boston Celtics, will have a tribute video for Kyrie Irving. Now, in my opinion, well-deserved. He's coming back. I know he said some stupid, idiotic things since he's left Cleveland about the sports city and everything. If you really, truly believe that, keep it to yourself, man. You don't need to make that public. You don't need to shame the fans that once loved you and adored you. You don't need to make them feel that they're beneath you or that city's beneath another city. Boston's a heck of a sports town, but so is Cleveland, and so is Houston, and so is New York, and so is LA. Everyone's sports town is unique to them, and you just need to shut up and respect that. Now, getting back to the video tribute, I think it's well deserved. I mean, Kyrie Irving hit the game-winning shot for that city to win the championship. He also was drafted number 1 over that city when LeBron left, and he took over that team's number 1 sports star in the NBA, and he put that city on his back and made them relevant and got LeBron back, and ultimately, like we just said, won a title. So I really hope that the fans show them their appreciation. Now, do I expect them to get some boos? Yes. You don't say what you say about some team in their town without getting some repercussions to it. But I hope that overwhelmingly the fans give him a standing ovation for what he did to that city, then boo him like crazy. All right, now moving on to the second part of this show, what I wanted to do for you is every Friday night from here on out, I'm going to be doing a Football Friday podcast where I'll pick some games from the weekend in college football and the NFL. Now, I'm going to do 10 college football games a week, and I'm going to do every single NFL game. So it was truly a tale of 2 days. Now, in college, I pick straight up, and I also pick against the spread. Now, I went 7-3 against straight up and against the spread in college football. I think that's a very good, strong start for me there. Some highlights that I had there. South Carolina were 3-point underdogs going into Tennessee. I really did think this South Carolina was going to win this game, so give me the points because I thought they were going to win, which they did, 15-9. It's a big win for South Carolina, who are quietly playing really well in the SEC right now. Also, a big one for me is Michigan versus Indiana. Now, straight up, I had Michigan winning the game. But being 8-point favorites on the road against Indiana, and a team that's been playing everyone tough, but also, Michigan, O'Korn hasn't looked really good as a quarterback. I didn't think they were going to score a lot of points, so I thought 8 was a little bit of a stretch. They ended up going into overtime. Michigan ended up winning 27-20, which means, they covered, so thank you there. And then a big one, and I really do like this team, NC State Wolfpack. Now, I know their big win is against Louisville, and we'll get to Louisville here in a minute, but they're 11-point favorites going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't looked that well this year. NC State ended up winning 35-17, so got them with the straight up, and I got them with the spread there. So overall, picked a lot of good games, but one that I literally would have picked this as my lock of the week. Louisville at home, Boston College coming in. Now, I get it. Boston College is a very improved team from the last couple years, but Lamar Jackson, Heisman Trophy winner. You should not let a team come in there and beat you. I don't care if you don't play defense. Get your defense motivated. 45 points to Boston College at home. You lost. It was 45-42. Louisville were 21.5-point favorites, and then they lost at home. So very bad pick for me. So I'm gonna try to stay away from these super dogs, the 21.5-point faves. I really don't know if I can be doing that anymore. Some other highlights. Lowlights. Navy for me. It was a coin flip against Memphis. Now, I like both those teams. I like both those teams the way they play offense. It took each of the team a while to get into their rhythm offensively, but when they did, they started scoring in droves. Memphis ended up winning 30-27. They were 3.5-point favorites at home. I probably should have read into it a little bit more. I think I just went with my heart there with Navy more than going with my mind. LSU ended up winning, so I ended up not getting straight against Auburn. So overall, college football, I think I did really well. So we'll be doing that again next Friday. But the one bad thing, the NFL, I didn't do too well there. Now, I did get, and I do this every Friday, I'm going to do this, my upset of the week. I got that right, and I'm going to get into that game here in a minute. But I was 5-8 straight up, and 5-8 against the spread. Not a really good start to the NFL season for me when it comes to these picks. Now, some highlights there, the upset of the week, but also Washington covering, winning, and the 49ers covering. It was the 49ers were 10.5-point underdogs. I just didn't think the 49ers played really well. They just can't close out teams right now. They can't win the games, but they've lost all the games they've lost have been within about a 5-point spread. So I really did like that. And being the 10.5-point favorite or favorites, Washington, I didn't think that they were going to be able to do that, against this 49ers team. Now, the upset of the week was the Steelers. I had the Steelers not only covering because they were 3.5-point. They were getting 3.5 points. I had them actually winning straight up. And my reasoning for this is the Steelers are one of those teams when you bash on them and say they suck and Ben Roethlisberger's washed up and this team can't do this and there's all this bickering and arguing, they tend when their backs are against the wall to come out swinging. And it was a terrible week for Kansas City to play them. And also, I just don't think Kansas City offensively matches up really good against the Pittsburgh's defense. Now, Kareem Hunt, he had 100-some total yards. A lot of that was on some dink and dunk passing that they were getting. He only rushed for 20 yards. The way that Kansas City likes to run their offense, I know there's some gadget plays in there, but it's getting Alex Smith rolling out and in the pocket, not being in the pocket too much. But the one thing the Steelers have are good athletic ends that can run and chase down. They have a lot of team speed defensively. So I felt that was going to neutralize Alex Smith. And also Kareem Hunt, the fast outside linebackers and defensive ends are able to catch up with Kareem Hunt. He wasn't able to get outside and be able to do his magic. Now, there was so many wrong games there that I don't even, the low lights that I don't want to get into. I had 3, I would say, locks of the week in the NFL that I would have put money on. I would have done so much. And the Patriots losing, they didn't lose, but they didn't cover. They were 9.5-point favorites against the Jets. I just thought they were going to go out and just blow them out the water. I just thought Patriots were going to come out and just take it to them. The Jets looked very good. McCown there, Jenkins, they had a nice little partnership there. Only losing by a touchdown. The Patriots didn't cover. That would have been my lock of the week. My other one that I thought this was take it to the bank. The Atlanta Falcons, they were 12.5-point favorites and ended up losing the game. They were up 17-0. I'm sitting back here going like, yeah, I'm smart. I'm a genius. And then they took their foot off the gas pedal and they could not regain their rhythm. And Miami came out and said, well, if you're not going to take this game, we are. They ended up coming back winning the game 20-17. And I think the biggest shock of the NFL season thus far, I'm not talking about this week, thus far, the Denver Broncos at home, coming off a bye against the Giants team that has all their best players staying home because they're all injured. They had no weapons. The only weapon they had was Evan Ingram, and they went and they gave it to him. And then Darka in the backfield was getting some yards. I thought the Denver Broncos were going to win this game 35-38-0. I did not see this coming. The Broncos not only didn't cover, they lost 23-10. Trevor Siemian might not be the answer there in Denver. It's going to be very interesting to see in the next few weeks what Denver is going to look like. So overall, college football very good, thumbs up. NFL, not so good, thumbs down. All right, everyone, that will be it for today's show. So how I want this podcast to start going is every Monday do this weekend review. Every Wednesday, keep up doing that midweek mix podcast. And then every Friday until the football season's over, doing the Football Friday podcast. Now, in the comment section below, do you guys have the same optimism that I have in the Packers? I still believe that they have an outside chance of making the playoffs with Brett Hundley there in the weak NFC North. Let me know. And also in the comment section below on my Football Friday podcast, what I want to start doing is keeping track of everyone's picks. Put down your picks and play along with me. Let me know what you're thinking that weekend so we can keep track and see who's the best at doing this. So I really appreciate you guys listening. My name's Matt. Thanks for tuning in to 3 and Out. Peace!